every Tuesday night, right here on Trailblazers Radio.
So, I hope everyone can hear me, but no one's in yet, so I can't tell if anyone can hear me or not. I think I'm live. I'm not sure if everybody else knows I'm live because I tried to do my little commercial and it did not pop up. So, and I have like a little delay. So, if anybody's on here already, I would love to know if I was live or not. If not, we're gonna be doing another show with me thinking that I'm live. Hello, can you hear me okay, Simone? Please let me know if you can hear me. Hey, how are you? Can you hear me? And is there a hesitance kind of thing going on? Because my computer is acting crazy. I think I'm just gonna switch everything to my phone because my phone works better. So that's what I think I'm going to do. I think I'm going to come out of it here and down it or whatever. And I think I'm going to go into my phone. Ooh, hold on a second. Hold on a second. I just did something crazy. Ooh, sorry. So you said I'm live and everything is fine, Simone? You are live. Oh, and I'm in color. That's kind of scary. Okay, good. So I think the hesitancy, I guess, is only on my side, and we're gonna see if we can work with it. If not, we'll do some stuff later. But right now, Simone is here. Hi, Simone. So like I said in my little intro on my way home in the car, we're going to be talking about the difference between sex and intimacy. And so before I get all deep into it, most of the people, like Simone, know, and a few other people that I hope are coming in, know that I don't have um, a filter. Not really. Because I think talking about things in the way that they're supposed to be talked about with no little cute terms, I just don't I don't see I just don't see the point of it. If you're not going to be truthful and straightforward and all of that, I just don't see the point. So we're going to be talking about sex and intimacy and the difference between the two because they're not synonymous. Neither sex doesn't lead to intimacy all the time, and intimacy does not lead to sex. They should work together in a relationship, but they do not always. They don't always, um, because just because that booger cuddled with you that one night stand after y'all left the club, that was intimacy. He was sleepy and he was drunk. I busted your bubble. I'm sorry. Okay. It is an interesting topic because I think that a lot of people go into relationships thinking that intimacy is the 2 seconds you have right before your husband say, "Okay, turn over," or whatever, or they think intimacy is just holding hands or looking at each other in the eye over dinner. Intimacy is so much deeper than that, and so I'm going to try my best to get to all of these topics and talk about the things that I want to talk about. So y'all keep me, Simone, you keep me on track in place of Coco because she's not here. Hopefully she'll join us later, but I think they have something going on tonight in another group that we're in. But anyway, so but I wanted this is the disclaimer because I sent out into people's messenger or whatever what the show is going to be about and all of that. If you are so churchy, and I said churchy, I didn't say Christian, I didn't say Christ-like, I said churchy. If you so deep in the church that you cannot stand to hear the word penis or vagina, then this is not your show. Because we don't do wee-wees and I don't know, toots and whatever people, it's a vagina. And men have penises. And this is what we're supposed to go together to have sex. This is how we all got here. Whether he did it into a cup and then they put it in there later, or he did it in person, it's called a penis and it's called a vagina. So that's what we're going to be talking about because sex will come up in this topic, but we're really going to start with intimacy, and it's going to lead into the topic of sex and that deep talk that you should have with your sex partner, that you should have before you have sex the first time. And if you have sex because you couldn't hold it, then before you do it the second time. If you having sex with somebody the third time and y'all haven't had to talk about what you like, what he like, and what he do, y'all gonna have issues down the line if y'all decide to stay together. Because when you, I'll come back. I'll come back. I'll come back. So what we're talking about is intimacy, and intimacy is, as I got it from this doctor, Dr. Barton Goldsmith, PhD. He is an emotional fitness doctor, and this is what he says about intimacy. He says it is an exchange of tender energy between two people who love each other deeply. Without it, your ability to take on the world can be greatly compromised. The most important intimate moments are those that happen outside of the bedroom, and I totally agree. But one thing that he did not put, that I think that should be that's very important factor, is that all of this exchange of tender energy between two people, it should be given freely. It should not be coerced. It should not be bargained. It should not be if you do this, that's bargaining. If you do this, I'll do that. It shouldn't be. None of those things should come in when it comes down to the intimacy between you and another person. It should be a mutual thing, and it should be done freely. Because if you do it freely, it'll take away from it'll get rid of the insecurities and the jealousy that sometimes comes along when you're in a relationship. Intimacy really does alleviate your insecurities about your body, about how good you are at sex. Listen, not even sex, how good you are at just communicating with another person on a level that is that has to do with your energy, on a level that has to do with your personal space. It gets rid of that insecurity, and it really does a thing with jealousy. Because once you get to know a person and all of that other stuff, you don't have to be jealous. You don't have to try to figure out their every move. You don't have to try to figure out why he didn't do this today. Last night, all last week he held me all last week, and this week he turned his back, and all of a sudden you jealous. But if you know the person, you know that there are cycles in everybody's life, and when they do things, maybe he just needed to feel you last week, and maybe you made him feel so good he didn't need you. He didn't need to be right up on you this week. This is what I'm talking about with intimacy outside of the bedroom. Y'all should be talking about everything, especially if you're in a committed marriage, if you're in a committed relationship where you feel like I'm not going nowhere, he's not going nowhere, or she's not going nowhere, and we're committed. And so everything, it should be talked about. Nothing should be off limits, except maybe that other bank account, because everybody should have a separate bank account from their another topic. But everything should be being discussed. And during these intimate moments, we're not talking about the children. We're not talking about the bills. We're not talking about work. We're talking about us. And that is what intimacy brings with it. It brings us. It takes me out of us. It takes just I, and then there's us, and we're together. Okay? So we're not going to be on here that long. So I'll put my glasses back on because y'all know I can't see. So, and there are innumerable ways that you can be intimate with another person, and most of the ways that like we're talking about now don't have nothing to do with sex. Period. Most of the ways that you have to be intimate with the person and how you choose to be intimate, whether you light candles and sit across his lap, whether you light candles and y'all face each other in chairs or on the bed, has nothing to do with sex. It's about connecting with the other person. And one way to do that is to look that person dead in their optical nerves, in their optical sockets. Because there are a lot of sayings out there, but one of them is true. Your soul, you know somebody by their eyes. If their eyes all over the place, you can get to know a person by just looking them in their eyes, or reading their facial expressions. And I don't understand how you know if your husband or wife or whatever enjoy anything if you're not even looking at them during sex. If the lights are off. We'll get to that. I'll get to that. We'll get to that. And that's what I'm talking about, insecurities. Simply saying to each other that you want and need more can be all that's required to get things moving in the right direction. Yeah, that's simple. Start the conversation out. Listen, I'm not throwing no shade. I don't, this is nothing against you or anything. But I just need more. I need more of you. That's why that 50 bull crap that people be talking about in relationships is a bunch of crap. Because you're going to need more than 50% of that other person at some point in your relationship. And so you tell, listen, I love you. I know you love me. But I need more. What I want you to do, and this is homework, if you're in a relationship, I want you to sit down and you listen to it first before you say he listened to it. Or you may not even want him to listen to it. But the OJs have, and I know this sounds crazy, but the OJs have a song called We Cried Together. I think that's what it's called. And it starts off with him describing how much he loved the woman and she loved him, but something was just off. And both of them knew it was off, but they didn't know how to fix it. So one night he held her in his arms and he turned over. He couldn't sleep and he said, "We can't go on like this." And she said, "I know," which means she wasn't sleeping either. So they turned to each other and they held on to each other and they cried together and they just talked to each other. Listen to the OJ song called "Last Night We Cried Together." Yeah, I can't sing it, but anyway, "We Cried Together." It's a beautiful song. I listen to it about 4 times a day. Listen to that song, and maybe if you just listen to it, it'll get both of y'all listen to it. It'll get y'all pointed in the right direction. Maybe not. I don't know. So, once greater intimacy becomes a regular part of your life, you will get so used to it that when your partner isn't around, you will feel a strong sense of longing. Having an intimate relationship is what most of us desire, yet often fail to communicate and demonstrate to our mates. Praise your love in front of others. That's the problem I think I have with a lot of couples that I see. They go to a party or they go out and they don't pay each other no attention till it's time to go. Like, you don't look across the room and just try to catch their eye. You don't walk past them during the little and just tickle their hand or something. Show people that y'all love each other. That's one problem I have with my boyfriend. Like, we go in the grocery store, he leaning on the stuff mad. Bro, you should have stayed in the car. It irritates me to see couples together and they walking like each one of them mad at each other. I'm not saying you have to hold hands and kiss and all that. I'm just saying you could at least acknowledge that this is mine. You could at least acknowledge that you care about the person that you came with. You could at least acknowledge the person. I'm a very touchy-feely kind of person. I like holding hands and all that stuff. And if we can't do that, then I'll try to catch your eye across the room. So, and that is a form of intimacy. That in itself is a form of intimacy. Okay, one of the forms. There's so many of them. And the thing is, if you make this a regular part of your life, then it won't seem like you're doing it. It won't seem like a job. It won't seem like it's hard to do. All you gotta do is try to make this a regular part of your life. Even if you're in the house and you walk by. Men have a thing where they just pat you on the behind. Like it. I ain't got too much to pat. But every now and then it don't hurt. Most men don't necessarily like you to do that. So go by and just rub his hair or just touch his hand. Try this for a week. For no reason. Don't say nothing. Don't make it over obvious. Just walk by and see how it changes how he responds to you or how she responds to you. Because you're just acknowledging their presence, and not just acknowledging their presence, you're acknowledging the fact that I love the fact that you're present. That is intimacy. And see, we nobody pulled out a penis yet. See what I'm saying? All right. You can change the course of a bad relationship, what I just said, and make a good relationship great by being a little more loving and creating, as well as enjoying greater intimacy between you and the other person. And that intimacy and the level of that intimacy depends on you. It all depends on You and how far you want to go with it. Where are you going to take it? What you're going to do with it. And why? I love what Tabitha Brown says, but she's talking about being a vegan. But I think it should go for anything that we do that's going to change our lives. And that thing is to have a why. Why am I doing this? For what reason am I doing this? Is it just to benefit me, or is it to benefit the other person? What am I going to gain? What are they going to gain? So before you get into that, figure out what your why is going to be. So I hope y'all not getting this little choppy thing like I'm getting, but okay. And there's not really people on here, so maybe they can't find me again. I don't know, or I don't know. But I'm going to keep going for a little while, and if I still feel alone, I'll work something out. So, when we think about intimacy, most times we just think about it being sex. But like I said, they're not synonymous. They don't necessarily have to go together. Intercourse, which is sex, is about as close as possible to another human that you can physically get, because a person is literally entering your body as a woman, and you as a man are literally putting part of your body into somebody else's body. Okay? And I got right here, I have 4 types of intimacy that we're going to talk about. And none of them involve sex. None of them even involve touching. So see, we almost halfway through the show, and I have not said we haven't pulled out a penis or shown a vagina. So stay with me. Long-term commitments usually require sustainable rapport beyond just chemistry in the bedroom. So y'all got great chemistry in the bedroom. Y'all great with sex. What y'all do after that? What happens if he becomes a person with erectile dysfunction? What happens if she becomes a person who no longer enjoys sex because it's painful? Then what y'all got after that? What y'all got after that? And that's what you need to think about before you hop into bed with somebody. Beyond this moment, what do we have after this? And the scary answer is John Jr. Because y'all didn't use nothing, and now somebody who you can barely stand to be in the room with because you find them boring, except in the bedroom, you got to be connected to them for the rest of your life. Not just so the child that turned 18. That child will always be y'all's. Don't turn 18 and magically turn into somebody. No, it's going to be your child. You're two, y'all going to have a child together forever. So now what you going to do? Because y'all ain't never had a real conversation. So, let's see. One type of intimacy is emotional intimacy. Candid, authentic sharing of thoughts and feelings. It involves being able to tell each other your deepest fears, dreams, disappointments, and most complicated emotions, as well as feeling seen and understood when you do. Now, this one probably is one of the hardest, because this one is not, this is something that men would have to work on, because they're not First of all, they're not emotional thinkers. And so trying to get them to talk about something that they don't think about is very hard. And so you'll be talking about emotions and all of that. But the problem, I think, with a lot of black men that I've talked to, mainly truck drivers, is telling a woman your deepest fears, dreams, disappointments, and most complicated emotions. Sure. Good luck with that. Why? Because they've dealt with other women who they have opened up their soul to, for this woman to dog them. And so they'll give you maybe 50, 65, 70% of them, but they're going to hold back the rest. They're not giving you everything. They're not giving you everything. And so now you have to find a way to get him to open up. And if I get to that far, I'm going to show you ways to and give you little tips on ways to get somebody to open up who doesn't necessarily want to. Okay? So that's hard. That's hard for some women too, because they've given everything to a particular person and come to find out that person uses that against them, especially if you get involved ball with a narcissist, a person who or you have and intimacy could go for some friends too. But you get in with a friend who just all they want to do is learn who you are, so that when the time comes, they can dog walk you. So emotional is just hard all the way around, because it's hard to trust what they're going to do with the information that you give them. But I say trust and beat them to the punch. That's why I don't really have a bunch of secrets. Comfort. Another type of intimacy is intellectual intimacy. Comfort with communicating beliefs and viewpoints without worrying about potential conflicts creates intellectual intimacy. Each person in the relationship has the freedom to think for themselves and believe that their opinions are valued. That's hard for some women, because a lot of women don't understand why. If they say something is something, then why nobody don't just fall in line and follow them? You and your husband should be able to, even though it would be a strain to me. For me, I couldn't do it, but you and your partner should have the same, um, at at the very least. This is my opinion. Let me not say you, me. I, if I'm with someone, they have to have the same religious or spiritual beliefs that I do. Politically, you can think what you want to. Music wise, do what you want to. But when it comes down to prayer and how I do and meditating with God and reading my Bible, we're gonna have to do that together. I'm not gonna be able to work. I'm not gonna be able to work through not having the same spiritual ideas with another person. Now the rest of the stuff I can work with. Everything else I can work with. I think everything else is doable, because having these intellectual conversations opens your mind up for other stuff, opens their mind up to new things, and then y'all can just debate and talk about it. It makes it interesting. It'll make your library in your house interesting at the very least. The books that you guys have, it would be a big thing, you know. So intellectual intimacy is a good intimacy. Just to talk to them, not just about feelings and all that, but talk about politics and the things that are going on in the world. How to raise the children and the beliefs of that. What do you think about when you turn 40, 45, and that they call that the stage where you start getting ready to take care of your own parents? How do y'all feel about that? Do we let our parents come live with us? Do we or do we put them in a home? Do we hire somebody? Is it a family? These are things that you can talk about and have intimate conversations about. And in doing that, it gets rid of problems later on down the line. I have been on for almost 30 minutes, and I don't know if people can't find me again, so I don't know. Then there's experimental intimacy. Shared experiences, lead to inside jokes and private memories that can intensify a connection. Yes, all that means is just doing things that you wouldn't normally do. I'm gonna say this, and I ain't gonna ever do it though. Bungee jumping. Maybe both of y'all want to bungee jump, and that'll be a shared intimate thing with you. My shared thing that I want to do that's experimental is rent an RV and drive around the United States for 2 weeks. Just drive everywhere for 2 weeks, and that would create memories that could be talked about for years and years. And there will be inside jokes and all of things that happen that only you guys know about. That's intimacy. Intimacy is having things that go on in your relationship that only y'all know about. It wasn't shared on Facebook. It wasn't shared on Snapchat. It wasn't shared anywhere. It's ours. It's intimate. It belongs just to us. Then the last one I have is spiritual intimacy. And we talked just a little bit about that a second ago. When you share poignant moments with your partner, through prayer and worshiping, as a couple could qualify as one such moment. Praying together and experiencing the love of God together. That is something that's an experience that is unmatched, I would think. And then talking about God's love and how God has, and people gonna disagree, but that's fine. I don't. I'm so beyond that. On this conversation, how God has instructed the man to be the head, and then there's God, and then there's the man, and then there's the woman, and then everything that falls up under that category of those two as a couple, and how God is the protector of all of those things. And I always liken it to like an umbrella. Like the man is the head and he holds the umbrella. And it is his job. And God is that umbrella. And it is his job to make sure that everything under that umbrella stays dry. It is his job to make sure that everything that's under that umbrella is protected. Now we have, not we, these millennials, these some new kind of people. And that's fine, and they can flip it and switch it and call it and twist it any way they want to, and that's fine. But as for me and my house, y'all know the rest if y'all go to church for at any point. So then we have what is fear of intimacy, because there is a real fear of intimacy. Some people have and we talked about that a few seconds ago too. Some people do not want to tell other people anything about them. I've known people to tell things and just make stuff up. And they're with that person, and that person doesn't know, that was just something that they said, so they wouldn't have to reveal themselves, the real them. It's always a test. They're always testing to see how loyal you are. If you're in a relationship and they got to keep testing to figure out if they look, y'all got a problem from the get-go, man. Y'all got issues from the get-go. You really do. You really, really do. Because there are some things that no matter what you do, a person is not going to trust you. And if you can live with them like that, then fine. If it's not something that's overbearing and whatever, and you feel like you got the rest of your life to work through it, good. I applaud you, because I would say the same thing. Put in the work, baby. Because the rewards of putting in the work, and you find somebody that loves you like you love them, oh my God. Put in the work. That's what I say. I don't ever think it's too much work when you feel like you're investing yourself in that person. You'll know when to stop. You'll know when you're tired. You'll know when it's a lost cause. Fear of intimacy is characterized as the fear of sharing a close physical or emotional relationship with another person. People who fear intimacy may experience distress or anxiety at the thought of being intimate with another person. Intimacy can take many forms, including sexual intimacy, emotional intimacy, intellectual, experimental, and spiritual intimacy is what we just talked about. And some people really fear any type of real closeness with people because they've been hurt before. Some people have been hurt so badly that they don't even know where to begin to repair the hurt and damage that has been done to their heart, let alone their spiritual and mental and psychological state. They have no idea where to start to fix that, because it's a scar that's so deep they don't. And then some people just don't want to. They prefer to be hard and remember that scar and don't put no bandage on it and just let it bleed forever, because they've given up and they don't want to put in the work. They don't want to try no more. And I'm gonna tell you this, I would keep trying, but I would say this, I don't blame them, because putting yourself out there is very, very hard. Fear of intimacy involves having anxiety about or being afraid of sharing a close connection with another person. People with this fear usually don't want to avoid intimacy entirely, and they may even desire closeness, but they may frequently push others away or sabotage. You hear that word? I'm the queen of that. I used to be the queen of that. Sabotage their relationship due to their fear. Now, the relationships that I used to sabotage were friendships with other people. I wouldn't do anything to hurt the other person. I would just, how did children say it now? I would just ghost. I would just ghost them. And I would do something or say I'm going to do something and don't. I would sabotage it because I felt like they were getting too close to the real me. This is before 2 years ago. But I just, when you got too close, I did something that and made sure that you probably just didn't want to be around me no more. And then I would act shocked when you didn't want to be around me no more. Feel me? So that's a transparent moment, I guess. People with fear of intimacy can usually form relationships, including romantic attachments and friendships, but when pressed to show vulnerability or share closeness in other ways, they may react with indifference, coldness, or other behaviors meant to push others away. Now, that's how my boyfriend was when I first met him. When you wanted to talk about feelings and all of that, he wouldn't get indifferent. He would be angry. Anger is one of the things that he could do very well. Not mean angry, just start an argument about something that didn't have anything to do with what we was talking about, just to get away from that particular topic. That's what I'm talking about. Sabotage, same thing. But once you become hip to these techniques, it won't even be a problem, because intimacy will teach you and show you how to navigate through that with them. And that's why intimacy is so important, because a lot of people don't want to be in that locked in that room of fear. They don't. And intimacy will help you navigate them out of that fear, out of that room of fear, navigate them through their mind and why they think that way and how they got that way. And the same with you. You can flip it and use it to help you get out of that fear, to help you be and do the things that you need to do to become a better person with your significant other. Some common ways that people with fear of intimacy may distance themselves from another person include, and this is what we're talking about, withholding affection, being dismissive or reacting negatively to others, showing affection, showing affection, like y'all start talking about intimacy and right away they just want to have sex. You know why? Not because you just turn them on them. No. Sometimes it's just to make you stop so that you won't make them, hey, Crystal, hi. They do that because they want you to stop talking. They don't want you to delve deeper into them. They don't want that. And so because they don't want that, sometimes when you're in the middle of talking intimately or whatever, they just start rubbing and touching all the right places. It's not because you just turn them on so much. It's because they don't want to talk about that no more. And like I said, you have to learn how to navigate your way through these things without hurting the other person, without brushing off how they, what they're feeling at that time. And then other times they avoid physical contact. They avoid sexual contact. They become paranoid and suspicious of the partner, because now they want to know, why you need to know all that about me? I love you and that's it. You don't need to know no more. How many times we done heard that? You know I love you. I take care of you. You got a roof over your head. You got a car. You got the kid. Everything. So what else you need to know? You don't need to know anything else. But there's so much more to know. And again, listen. We need to learn how to navigate our way through that. And don't just get angry with them, because they're not really angry. They're scared. Again, having bouts of anger or lashing out, being extremely critical of the other partner. Now you done brought it up and you want to talk or whatever, and now they bringing up all the stuff that they know that you're insecure about, and then they bring it up so that your insecurities will jump in. And so now that your insecurities have jumped into the fray, now y'all arguing back and forth. And now it done moved on to everything, to now y'all talking about how stank his mama acted at the wedding. And y'all didn't even start right there. That's how fear will help. Fear makes manipulators out of people. They manipulate you away from conversations that they don't want to have. And of course, feeling guarded or having difficulty sharing emotions and feelings and issues with trusting people. That's where fear comes from. That's where the fear of intimacy comes from. Trusting people and having had trusting people that trusted people, and those people have hurt them. People with fear of intimacy may also have a history of self-imposed social isolation or relationships that are rocky and unstable. So that's why a lot of these millennial chicks and men, who don't want to date, who don't want to be with people and all this other stuff. I want to know at where did you come up with that? At what point in your life did all of a sudden you just felt like you had to be on sabbatical and isolated from everybody? Because I guess some people say I found my worth, but I think a lot of it is fear. I think a lot of it is the fact that these people have a fear of intimacy because they've been hurt so many times. And they don't know any other way to deal with the fear. They don't know any other way to communicate the fact that they fear intimacy. Because the reason for this is because most people don't know that there's a difference between intimacy and sex. You can be in an intimate relationship with someone that you trust intimately, and you never have sex with them. Ever. Y'all could be friends for the rest of y'all lives and never have sex with each other. But holding on to your insecurities and your jealousies and your fear and all of that, you're going to die not being who you really are as a person and never having opened up to anyone. And so what's the point of living this one life if you're not going to be who you authentically are? Without the mask, without the wall up. All right, so I found some stuff online, and it was like 12 steps to getting someone to open up. There are 3 points that they wanted, that this article that I read, it was posted September the 8th, 2014, and it was reviewed by Matt Houston. So, and it was written by Linda and Charlie Bloom, 2 counselors. So it says 85% of difficult conversations among married couples are initiated by women. Yeah, because we always want closure. We just want to talk. I just want to talk to you for a minute. And that's the worst thing you can say to somebody that you want to talk to is to a man. Can I talk to you for a minute? Or we need to talk. Man, that sound like that. That's like I crashed your car and I forgot to pay the insurance. So man, listen. Stop starting conversations off like y'all about to go to a funeral. Come on. Anyway, let's move on. Refusing to participate in difficult conversations with one's partner can lead to resentment, alienation, disappointment, and even worse. And worse to me is divorce, or y'all not speaking to each other no more. A key step in getting someone to open up is to create a safe, non-blaming context for the conversation. And if you can't provide those 2 things first, I suggest that you don't even try to even go forward with intimate conversation until you learn how to do that first. And that is to make the person feel safe, and to make them feel like that there's no blame in this conversation. We're not blaming anybody for anything. And if you don't know how to relay that to that person, leave it alone. Seriously. Go back to the intimacy part and learn intimacy before you try to get them to open up in any kind of way. Learn which type of intimacy you need to do before you get to that deep talk thing. Because you need to be able to make that person feel safe, and you need to make sure that they understand that nobody's being blamed in here. This conversation is not the blame game. So one of the things that people say most of the time is he won't talk to me, or I can't get him to open up. No matter what I do, I don't get anything more than a one-word response, or I'm so frustrated, I could scream. Those are some of the things that I know I've said before in relationships, or I've heard my friends say to me when they're talking to me and they can't get him to just say more than just yes or no. If one partner consistently refuses to participate in such conversations, either directly or by being unavailable, this pattern can hijack a relationship, creating a vicious circle spiraling down into entrenched feelings of resentment, alienation, and disappointment. While it may seem that the person who is refusing to talk is motivated by anger and resistance, it's likely that there are other feelings underlying those. They're not angry. Like I said, they're scared. And some people show their fear by exhibiting signs of anger. And so you have to know the difference. And how you going to know the difference? Having intimate moments, talking to each other. The initiator, on the other hand, may be motivated by fear also, because they need this conversation. They need it to, because the purpose of it is to take away distance and disconnection from the other person. And they feel like the distance and disconnection will set in and jeopardize the foundation of the relationship. The person who's initiating these conversations, whether it be a man or a woman, is also fearful but their fear is this: they see it coming. They see the disconnect coming. They see the gap getting wider and wider between them and the other person. So here are a few guidelines, and then we're going to go ahead and get off. But anyway, here are a few guidelines on how to get a person to open up. Create an agreement to discuss the issue. If now isn't a good time, find a moment that works for both of you. And you know what makes the best conversations is not being in a familiar environment. It really isn't. He said, be somewhere. No, go somewhere where it's not familiar, somewhere new, where y'all didn't have an argument in one room in one of the rooms of the house. Go to the park where you know there won't be any yelling and screaming. Get a hotel room. Yeah, I know you live in town, but get a hotel room. Somewhere unfamiliar. At the outset, state your intentions. At the very beginning of the conversation, you should be telling them exactly what you want to talk about and why you want to talk about anything that you're about to talk about. And also let them know that this conversation that you want to have is not to blame. Say it again, not to accuse anybody, but I just want to be closer to you. I just want to get to know you better. Be proactive by getting yourself centered, grounded, and open. Hey, meditate before you do this. Talk to God. Ask God what to say. Ask Him what questions to ask. Center yourself. Get yourself prepared for the anger or the aggressiveness or the walking out or what. Get yourself ready for that. And then try it again. Prepare for it, even if it doesn't come. Take responsibility for your own part. So whatever's going wrong in the relationship, it ain't just one-sided. Make sure that you're willing to listen to what the other person is saying, and make sure that you're willing to take responsibility for that. Be accountable for what you've done, or the things that you've done or said, or whatever they say that you did or said to them. And don't discount them. Don't brush their feelings aside. Don't say, the worst thing you can say is, that's not how I meant it. It doesn't matter. It's how they took it. Now, do y'all discuss a better way of doing that? Regardless of your history or previous failures, keep in mind that it is possible to interrupt even deeply embedded patterns and hold a vision of a successful outcome. Think of it already before it even ends. Already see the end of it, and y'all are holding each other and just being friends and closer to each other. And the conversation got y'all somewhere, even if you didn't get all the little points on your list. Speak in ways that promote trust, respect, safety, and openness. Man, if you can't, number 6 should have been up there with the proactive, with number 3. Talk to the person like you would want them to talk to you, basically. They're not your child, you're not theirs. Speak to them mutually like adults. Resist the temptation to explain or justify your position. If they say something and you don't like it and you don't agree with it, you don't have to defend yourself. This is why we're having a conversation, because now you know how they felt about it. But you coming in to defend yourself is going to push that wall up higher and higher. Remember that feelings of greatest frustration and impatience are likely to arise just when things begin to feel most hopeful. When you get closer and closer to that center of who that person is they might get more frustrated and want to. Give them a minute. Take breaks. Walk away for a minute. And be patient. And don't concern yourself with your partner's intentions. Don't worry about why they're saying that or why would they say that and all that. That ain't got nothing to do with you. Only thing that got to do with you is that you are going to be a um a good sounding board, and then they're going to be your sounding board, and y'all going to work this out, and y'all going to know each other better by the end of it. That is intimacy. Just because you know where her G spot is, and you know where to get him to get, that don't have nothing to do with intimacy. It doesn't, and it gets old after a while. So what are you going to do beyond the bedroom? What do we do now? Where do you go after y'all get up? Y'all got the whole rest of the day. That 5 or 10 minutes is done. So that's that. I don't have, like I said, a lot of people on. And so the discussion I want to have, I guess I'm not going to have that tonight. So, but I said what I had to say, and I said what I wanted to say. And hopefully later on, when I go on, to YouTube, I'll be able to go in and look at the comments and all that other stuff. So I want to thank you for joining me. I appreciate Simone and Crystal for coming on. Um, and so we're going to cut it short a little bit because I am so tired. I've been up since 5 o'clock this morning. I've been back and forth to Savannah. So, and I got to be up again tomorrow by 4:30. So thank you so much for coming. Thank you for joining me. If there any shows that you want to talk about, or anything you want to talk about that I might find interesting, just inbox me, put it in the comment section, and let me do some studying and reading on it, and then I'll make it, and then we'll see if we can have a night for that topic. Okay. Well, thank you for joining the takeover. Don't forget to go and get you some uppity Negro apparel, and I think that's about it. Thanks everyone for joining. Have a good night.